evening and thank you for joining us. My name is Wairu Mbogwa. Let's take a look at the top stories of the day. The Hague trial, all eyes on the outcome in the ICC. And in sports, KCB to start fresh talent hunting for next KPL season. The trial of the Deputy President William Ruto and former radio presenter Joshua Sang has resumed at the ICC after a 6-week break. The first hearing on the Deputy President's side was on October 6. Agnes Minor has the details.
From the pre-trial chamber to conduct investigations into what is known in ICC terminology as the situation in Kenya.
The trial of Deputy President William Ruto and former journalist Joshua Arap Sang has resumed at the ICC for the expulsion after a 6 weeks break. The witness said that Mr. Ruto called upon the expulsion of Kikuyu from part of the Rift Valley region ahead of a 2005 referendum on a draft constitution.
Of course, hii misho yote itapoliticiziwa. So in my opinion, I focus more on watu waliafektiwa, wenye itawasaidia. But me, in my opinion, naona hii jambo itapoliticiziwa na justice itakuwa according to what they want. Ndio wanataka free. So wakiwa free watasema wamepata justice. Wakiwekwa ndani watasema hawajapata justice. So itakuwa tu politicized. Mimi nikaona better ziko tu home.
Ruto and Sang are on trial over 3 counts of crimes against humanity, each for their alleged roles in the violence that followed the December 2001 presidential election.
To me, what I hear about ICC is that most of the judges, most of the prosecutors, they've given up on these cases. Most of them are just saying that there is no evidence.
The ongoing proceedings have instilled anxiety among Kenyans who hope that the ICC trials will end soon. Agnes Minor reporting for WTV.
Now that story brings us to our feedback question. Should the ICC drop the cases involving Deputy President William Ruto and Joshua Sang? Should the ICC drop the cases involving Deputy President William Ruto and Joshua Sang? Now send us your thoughts on our SMS line on 20058. We'll sample them and post them on our Facebook page, WTV Kenya. Moving on, in a bid to save 1.8 billion shillings annually, the government is set to deal with ghost workers to increase productivity in public offices. Godfrey Ouma with that story.
Barely months after the government launched the electronic registration of workers in the bid to fight ghost workers, it has turned out that there were more than 12,500 ghost workers who were not productive. According to an economist, Mr. James Shikwati, for the government to realize productivity of its workers, it must encourage competition among the workers, upgrade the facility used, and encourage workers to upgrade their skills.
It needs also to give them the necessary tools, what I would call technology, that can enhance their efficiency. And then, of course, it has to also look at the question of motivation, because if you want people to be productive, you need only not to give them the tools, but you have to motivate them.
There is a belief that the electronic registration of workers might not be the solution to the issues of ghost workers.
Going digital, as we've seen the Kenyan government attempt as a possible way of dealing with ghost workers, might not be the ultimate solution, because one has to ask themselves what causes a scenario where you have ghost workers.
There have been cases where workers go to work and sign in but do not stay in their workstation.
Well, it's an old problem. I mean, the idea of people having jackets placed in offices and they leave and they do not offer services. But for me, I would be interested in what's causing that. And if you look at the economic reality, the pressures that individuals are facing, in order to keep their family needs supplied, in order to, and remember, in Kenya, just like in many African countries, there's also the issue of extended family. So the pressure on an employed worker is too high.
Reporting for WTV News, I'm Godfrey Ouma.
Young persons and vulnerable groups have been urged to participate in medium and small enterprise programs. Women were also encouraged to join the programs. This strategic plan was launched today by Industrialization Cabinet Secretary Eden Mohammed.
Appreciate our Almighty God for having made us to realize this day, and this day's event has been
The government takes into cognizance the important role played by the micro and small enterprises in Kenya's social economic development and provides one of the most significant sources of employment, income generation and poverty elevation.
Launch the strategic plan, 5-year strategic plan for the Medium and Micro and Small Enterprises Authority, an authority that I think is so critical in bringing together all aspects of micro and small enterprises together under one umbrella so that they can get service, they have one-stop shop, they've got a home, somewhere they can turn to in dealing with issues that actually are facing them.
The ministry encourages youth and vulnerable groups to participate in the MSEA sector in addressing the financial constraints faced by the youth and women, particularly the challenge of startup capital. Commercial banks and microfinance institutions are encouraged to lend MSEA at fair interest rates. The sector plays an important role towards the realization of Vision 2030 and other national goals. The growth of MSEA sector depends on the existence of a vibrant market for the MSEA products.
For rice also, the machines are completely automatic, which means they are extremely efficient, highly productive, very reliable. And also there is no issues with hygiene or things of this nature because the machines are completely automatic. There is no human contact with the products.
The government will ensure a safe working environment for the micro and small enterprise operators. The existing infrastructure will be upgraded and additional ones developed. The Ministry of Industrialization and Enterprise Development is shifting the thinking of the stakeholder from the concept of poverty reduction and, for that matter, poverty eradication to wealth creation, in an approach which will not only handle poverty but also move up the growth and sustainability. Micro and small business is a way of eradicating poverty by creating job employment. And that's why the Ministry of Industrialization and Development Enterprise came up with a strategic plan to take the industry a notch higher. Reporting for WTV News, I am Winnie Otieno.
And in sports, barely a week after the Kenya Premier League conclusion, 14th placed KCB 6 has axed 6 of their senior players ahead of the new season due to lack of consistency during the 2014 season. The technical bench have decided to release 6 players from the team. The 6 are goalkeeper Caleb Adola, Dennis Grosso Omondi, Southern's Ida and Meshach Abel, Paul Wainaina, and offensive midfielder Hedmund Mauda. KCB FC is now in the marketing scouting for new and talented soccer players as it envisions in reuniting the 2013 flair that they sparked during the 2013 season when they finished top 4 in the Kenya Premier League. In 2013, the Bankers scooped 7 awards during the Kenya Premier League Football of the Year Gala, besides producing KPL Player of the Year. This was a tremendous achievement compared to this season's setbacks. And that's all from our news desk. Thank you for joining us. My name is Wairi Mambobwa. Do have a good night.